Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and here I'm to share with you my top 5 games of 2024. Boy, was it a fantastic year. Almost an impossible list, but that's why we're doing just 5, because I think we can really pull apart a top 5 for each individual. And this again is for me and my opinion here, so I'm sure everybody else will have their own list. Be sure to share those down in the comments below, but first and foremost, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I said, what we're going to do is jump right to it, get to my top 5 games of 2024. Now, just a quick disclaimer here, a few rules is A, as long as it came out this year and I at least had 40 hours into the game, that is going to qualify it. You know, typically you'd beat it unless it's a multiplayer type game and you put the time in, so on and so forth. That being said, I also can't be like, well, Bobby Sue or Timmy or whoever is saying such and such game is a great game, I'm going to go ahead and put that on my list even though I never played it. Nah. This is all games that I played thoroughly through, beat to completion, or put a lot of time into a multiplayer only game if that happens to make the list. So those are the things, those are the caveats. So if a game didn't make the list, I'll go over that as well and mention why. But first and foremost, let's get with number 5 here. Number 5 being Unicorn Overlord. Yes, that game did in fact come out in 2024. Like I said, big heavy hitters this year, but this game is truly a fantastic game. It scratched that itch for me in regards to that almost like tactical game. It's not quite like, you know, Tactics Ogre or Final Fantasy Tactics, but it's real similar in that vein, but, you know, almost like Fire Emblem-esque as well. So really a surprise hit, in my opinion. I heard good things about it, eventually picked that up. I was able to fit it into my backlog, of course, and actually play this game. And wow, the art style right off the bat is fantastic. As you can tell, Vanillaware, they do not miss when it comes to their art style. They do not miss when it comes to a lot of things. The story is not like the best story in the world, but the story is really a fantastic story. It's great. It grows the characters like you would expect. And everything like that sort. The soundtrack is also phenomenal. The gameplay, like I said, real tactical, really great. It depends on if you have, you know, different mounts from horses to griffins to whatever. It affects your speed, affects your cavalry, affects your, you know, everything in between. You can grow them, you can get their stats, you can change who they are a little bit as far as how they get upgraded and such and so forth, right? Really just a great effect there. You don't have to wait for every match as well. You can quickly kind of bypass those, a quick match there in regards to the battle per battle system. So that's nice to skip ahead if you're running short on time, want to throw a few battles in there, level up your folks, do some trial and error stuff. I think that's really fantastic, and what a good complete game. And this game truly deserves to be on a list like that. If this is up your alley, this type of genre, definitely check it out. Don't let that bypass you. Definitely deserve it of that number 5 spot. Now, let's get to number 4. Like I said, these are all heavy hitters here. Number 4 being Helldivers 2. And some of you might be like, this isn't even a game of the year right now, like number 1. And again, a lot of contention there, but Helldivers 2 is just such a fantastic game that they changed up, right? These devs changed up so much. It went from isometric top-down, which I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. I don't think a lot of us were. It was also hard, and we just didn't get it back then. But this way, they did it third person, and they still kept it very difficult. And it was such a cool dynamic to have, you know, up to 4 friends or randoms on there. Try to coordinate. This really came out of left field in a way with how the game works and how fun it was and refreshing. It wasn't your typical third-person shooter or cover shooter or whatever it is. This really brought a new, fresh paint, whatever, fresh coat of paint, however you want to put that, and just really just gave this genre a really shot in the arm, a boost in the arm, right? And just is so good. It's so good. Right now it has free DLC. You got another faction, you got aliens, zombie-like controlled humans and stuff like that as well. They're going to be dropping more. There was a leak that, you know, there's going to be some kills on war bonds, which is their section of, you know, battle passes, but you don't have to buy it. You can earn it via all in-game currency, so that's another plus. But man, everything feels good. The weapons feel good, the movements feel good, the coordination between your teammates feel good. If you want to go solo, you truly can and put your skills to the test. There's tons of different difficulty levels, not 1, 2, or 3. There's multiple even past that. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of cool things to unlock. The game really is a fantastic game and so deserved of that number 4 spot. If you haven't tried this game, if you've been living under a rock, definitely check this game out. Totally worth it. Now, let's go over to our number 3. This might shock some of you as well. This slowed down? Yes, unfortunately, this slowed down because there's so many good games. Number 3 being Astrobot. Astrobot, the game of the year that threw all sorts of fan bases in a tizzy that it won Game of the Year at the Game Awards show. Technically, this game is a number 1 contender. Technically, this game is worthy of that spot. But the reason it's number 3 for me is because there's just 2 games a little bit better, but we're not going to get into that right now. This game is fantastic. It's about as perfect of a 3D platformer as you can do. It's fantastic with the haptics. It's game-changing, right? The way they pay homage to the 30 years of PlayStation throughout its history, whether that be third-party games, whether it be first-party games, whatever's going on, they pay homage to it to a point, right? They've done it also with, and this isn't my first foray, right? This is also part of Astrobot's playroom, right? And then also I had the pleasure of playing Astrobot VR for the PSVR 1. So I felt a lot of this. They did even more with the haptics, obviously, in this one, because PS4, that wasn't a thing on that analog. But ultimately, what they did with this was make a special game near perfection and just continue to improve upon it. My mouth dropped during Astrobot VR rescue mission, right? And then my mouth dropped again with Astrobot's Playroom, and my mouth just continued to drop as we play Astrobot. I cannot fathom a better 3D platformer. The next one is close to this is going to be Mario Odyssey. Pretty much neck and neck. Mario Odyssey is a very special game, and it's only fair to compare the two because they are on just another peak, another tier of their own. They are so special and going to be remembered for many, many years to come. Real similar to the likes of a 2D platformer like Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario World. Those things are just very hard to touch, but they are iconic, right? And I think these games, as far as 3D, are going to be iconic. Mario 64 is fantastic for its time, but when we're looking at perfection and perfecting the craft and formula, you're looking none other than Mario Odyssey and Astrobot itself. But if you have, again, been living under a rock, please, I implore you to go check yourself out and go out to your nearest store or download that digitally and check out Astrobot, because you will not be disappointed by one bit. Even if you're not a huge platforming fan or you think it's too kiddie, check this game out. Absolutely fantastic. Certainly deserved of that number 3 spot. Now, let's get to number 2 here. Now, this is a really, really recent release. Some of you that's been following the channel recently might not be shocked here, but some of you might be like, wow, really, dude? Really? Let's just pull the Band-Aid off right now, folks. We're going to have to go ahead and give this to Marvel Rivals number 2. Why? Why is Marvel Rivals number 2? Because it came in running on all cylinders. I checked this game out 30 to 40 hours on the beta alone this summer. I am pleasantly surprised after 40 plus hours again on this game after the full release, what they put into it, what they did to make this so much better, not bettier, right? Better, punchier, crisper, more fully fleshed out. This game is just that next Overwatch game, but better. And it just reminiscent of the old Overwatch days, right? Or the origination of Team Fortress 2 and how everything was just so good and fresh and what they're doing. And the sky's the limit for this, guys. This IP is what's going to push it, right? It's so hard to have unique, brand new characters in this day and age. So you need that IP and you need it to hit home. And not every single Marvel game hits home. Let's be honest, right? We've had Marvel's Avengers that had an okay campaign, but just wasn't that great. We've had a lot of misses on Marvel aside from, Insomniac Spider-Man and stuff like that. And, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and whatever the case is. So there's been some great hits, but there's been a lot of duds out there. So very happy that this game is fantastic. I cannot stop smiling when I play it. I'm trying a new character, looking at the nuances. 6v6. Open role queue. They have tournaments already. They have comp. They have a very forgiving battle pass. They have currency in the game, so you're not constantly having to drop the money if you don't want to, even though it's a free-to-play games as a service game. This game is truly, truly special. I don't think you can go wrong with this game, and especially free to play. I think this is a multiplayer game that is truly going to be standing the test of time and hanging around for years to come. So this is truly a special game. Check this out. I think this is almost like a freebie to you all out there. Even if you're not into team games, give this a while. Give it more than a couple matches, even if it's not your thing. You might be surprised with yourself on how you might kind of attach yourself to the game and really enjoy yourself. So definitely deserve it of that number 2 spot. Now, let's get to the number 1. Drum roll. Which one is it, right? We've had so many great games I didn't mention. Some of you out there might be a little upset I don't mention a couple of these or one of these, but I do have to go with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you've been following the channel again, or if you've been following any of the streams, I have mentioned this multiple times, that I truly believe Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is Game of the Year, hands down. Now, there's going to be a couple different categories for this, right? Some of us that grew up playing the original and have fond memories and seeing how special this game could be, the remake being what Rebirth is. Remake was great, but Rebirth took what Remake is, improved upon it. It's not as linear. It's got so much more going on for it, so much more fleshed out, right? And it just has that grand scope, and it did it so well. Very pleased. I loved Remake, but I felt it was held back a little bit. We all know why, and it was just, the Midgar sections and stuff like that only. So this is really a great surprise here, and it was just so special. And even if you didn't play the original and you check this out, I do implore you to try to play the original. It might be hard to do in this day and age because it's just so different. It's turn-based. It's nothing but reading. There's no voice acting, you name it, right? The graphics are going to be a bit dated. But if you can, great. You're going to get a lot more appreciation for Rebirth. And even if you didn't, I think you can take a step back and be like, this game looks immaculate. The voice acting is immaculate. The soundtrack is immaculate. The story is fantastic, even though you're probably going to be lost in it if you're not part of the original or haven't looked into this further off the game, right? And be like, what is going on? What's going on with these timelines? Is there a timeline? All this stuff, right? It really makes you think, but it's just is really a special game, and I'm just so privileged to got to play this game in my lifetime, right? If this easily could have came out after I'm long gone from this earth, and I wouldn't have been able to play it. So hopefully I'm still around, enough to play the final conclusion of this trilogy. The only thing that would make me freak out, flip tables and everything, is if they ever made a Final Fantasy VI Remake, my favorite Final Fantasy of all time, or a tie for first place game of all time for me, which would be Chrono Trigger, or even Final Fantasy Tactics. Not just a quick paint of code remaster stuff, but a full-on fleshed out remake. But anyways, getting off topic there, this game is so good. The party system is great. The combos you can do, the story, they added in more in depth. I got to learn about the characters even more so. It just made everything that much more special in this game, and has me waiting on bated breath for the conclusion of this game and what they can do with it. I think they did everything pretty much as perfect as you can do. And if you do have a PS5 Pro, definitely check this game out on there, because that's going to take care of some of the issues others were having. I didn't have an issue with the play or the cinematics, in-game gameplay, or whatever the case is. But really, this deserved it. And as much as Astrobot deserved Game of the Year award at the Game Awards, right? It does blow me away that this game just didn't get all the praise in the world, because it's just immaculate on so many levels. Just the grandiose scheme of things and what they did with this game is just truly amazing. Just the combat alone and what they fleshed out, and then just the locations and the regions, and the card game Queen's Blood, and it's just so good. It's so good. It's so almost perfect as perfect can be. And that's all I can say about this game, guys. If you haven't checked this out, please check out Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It will be hitting PC sooner than later here. They did get the announcement, so if you're waiting on that, you can. But if you haven't, you got yourself a PlayStation 5 or a Pro, please go check this game out. You will not be disappointed. Give it a chance, all that stuff. Now, just a quick honorable mention before we wrap things up. I do want to give an honorable mention to WWE 2K24. They've really come across so many waves of paving that path and getting better and better at these games. Again, even if you're not a WWE or wrestling fan, check these games out. They're so fun. They're just fun to mess around with. The customization, the campaigns, just the odds and ends that you can do in these games is absolutely fantastic. And unfortunately, just quick honorable mentions. I'm sure they're great, but I did not play much of Black Myth Wukong, so I could not put this in the running. I thought it was fine. I'm not a huge Souls-like fan, so that's part of that as well. To each their own, right? Everybody has their own opinion on that, but it did look great. It played very well. I thought it was a great game from what I played, but I did not play to completion. Ergo, it did not even have contention here. So, and then also Stellar Blade, I have not had time to get to, of course, and didn't spend a lot of time with because I didn't get to it. And as well as a few other games out there that we haven't mentioned today. So if they didn't make the list, that's why I always like to be truthful with you all and make sure that I actually have experience in these games before I just throw them on a list somewhere and put up this false hype and scrutiny to them, right? That's not fair to you guys. So I will always be truthful as far as what I actually play. So I appreciate that. Hopefully you enjoyed this list. Again, if you want to, please, I would love to hear from you. List down below in the comment section what your top games of the year were, top 5, top 10, whatever you want to list. Would love to hear your opinions and what you enjoyed for the year. Also, doing that helps out the algorithm as well as a like for the video, so thank you so much. If you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself. And in addition to that, enjoy the rest of your day, folks. Enjoy the holiday seasons coming up. Spend it with your loved ones or special friends and family. And I wish you the best. And we will see you next time on the next Xvault gaming video. And until then, take care.